In this video, we'll walk you through 25 actual CDL test questions, with detailed answers and explanations to help you ace your exam. Let's get started. Which of these is a good thing to do when steering to avoid a crash? Don't turn any more than needed to clear what is in your way. Steer with one hand so that you can turn the wheel more quickly. Apply the brakes while turning. The correct answer is A. Don't turn any more than needed to clear what is in your way. Due to the high center of gravity for most tractor-trailer combinations, the risk of rollover increases the sharper the truck is turned. It is always best to only turn just as much as needed to avoid an accident. You should stop driving whenever you become sleepy. After 9 hours. After 5 hours. The correct answer is A. Whenever you become sleepy. Driving while tired is just not worth the risk of causing an accident. Stop and rest, take a nap, and refresh yourself before continuing the trip. Which of these is not a good rule to follow when caring for injured persons at an accident scene? If a qualified person is helping them, stay out of the way, unless asked to assist. Keep injured persons cool. Move severely injured person if there is a danger due to fire or passing traffic. The correct answer is B. Keep injured persons cool. Someone who has been in an accident may find it difficult to properly regulate their body temperature as it responds to the injuries. Try to keep the person calm and warm until first responders arrive and take over the situation. You should avoid driving through deep puddles or flowing water. But if you must, which of these steps can help to keep your brakes working? Applying hard pressure on both the brake pedal and accelerator after coming out of the water. Turning on your brake heater. Gently putting on the brakes while driving through the water. The correct answer is C. Gently putting on the brakes while driving through the water. Avoid driving through deep water whenever possible. If you find it necessary to continue, lightly apply the brakes so that the brake shoes or pads will just touch the drums or rotors to prevent water, sand, and debris from getting between the shoes pads and the drums rotors. Which of these is a good thing to remember when crossing or entering traffic with a heavy vehicle? Because heavy vehicles are easy to see, you can count on other drivers to move out of your way, slow down for you. The best way to cross the traffic is to pull the vehicle partway across the road and block one lane while waiting for the other to clear. Heavy vehicles need larger gaps in traffic than cars. The correct answer is C. Heavy vehicles need larger gaps in traffic than cars. When crossing traffic at an intersection or merging on the freeway, a heavy commercial vehicle will require much more space than a light passenger vehicle. Ensure that you are allowing ample space to accommodate the size and speed of your vehicle. You are driving a heavy vehicle with a manual transmission. You have to stop the vehicle on the shoulder while driving on an uphill grade. Which of these is a good rule to follow when putting it back in motion up the grade? Let the vehicle roll backwards a few feet before you engage the clutch, but turn the wheel so that the back moves away from the roadway. Keep the clutch slipping while slowly accelerating. Use the parking brake to hold the vehicle until the clutch engages. The correct answer is C. Use the parking brake to hold the vehicle until the clutch engages. Begin with the parking brake set to hold the vehicle on the steep grade. Engage the transmission and let out the clutch to the point where you feel the vehicle start to move. Then, disengage the parking brake and let the clutch out the rest of the way while accelerating. You are driving a heavy vehicle. You must exit a highway using an off-ramp that curves downhill. You should slow to the posted speed limit for the off-ramp. Wait until you are in the curve before downshifting. Slow down to a safe speed before the curve. The correct answer is C. Slow down to a safe speed before the curve. Slow down to a safe speed prior to reaching the curve. This speed is likely lower than the posted recommended speed for the curve. Try to avoid braking and turning at the same time. You must park on a side of a level, straight 4-lane divided highway. Where should you place the reflective triangles? 1 within 10 feet of the rear of the vehicle, 1 about 100 feet to the rear, and on about 200 feet to the rear. 1 within 10 feet of the front of the vehicle, 1 about 100 feet to the rear, and 1 about 200 feet to the rear. 1 within 10 feet of the rear of the vehicle, 1 about 100 feet to the rear, and 1 about 100 feet to the front of the vehicle. The correct answer is A. 1 within 10 feet of the rear of the vehicle, 1 about 100 feet to the rear, and on about 200 feet to the rear. When stopped along a one-way or divided highway, 3 reflective triangles will be required and all 3 placed behind the vehicle to warn approaching traffic. Place the first one at 10 feet, the second at 100 feet, and the third at approximately 200 feet behind the vehicle.
Want to study with the full set of over 1,200 real CDL test questions? With CDL Study Buddy app, you'll have everything you need to ace the CDL exam. Study on the go with practice questions, answers, and explanations for all states and endorsements. The app will track questions you missed so you can review your weaknesses and quickly learn the material. Most importantly, users find that most of the questions in the app are actually on their exam. Download the CDL Study Buddy app today and ace your CDL exam.
You are driving on a 2-lane road. An oncoming driver drifts into your lane and is headed straight for you. Which of these is most often the best action to take? Steer to the right. Hard braking. Steer onto the left shoulder. The correct answer is A. Steer to the right. It is assumed that the driver will realize their error and turn back toward their lane. Therefore, it is suggested that you turn to the right toward the shoulder. Brake fade can be caused by the brakes getting very hot. Is a problem that only occurs with drum brakes. Can be corrected by letting up on the brakes for 1 to 2 seconds and then reapplying them. The correct answer is A. Can be caused by the brakes getting very hot. A certain amount of heat is generated during normal braking as kinetic energy is converted to thermal energy. However, if excessive heat builds up, you may experience brake fade and eventually brake failure. Which of these statements about engine overheating is true? You should never remove the radiator cap on a pressurized system until the system is cooled. Antifreeze is not needed when the weather is warm. You should never shut off an overheated engine until it cools. The correct answer is A. You should never remove the radiator cap on a pressurized system until the system is cooled. As the engine coolant mixture heats, it will expand and build up pressure. Removing the radiator cap allows this pressure to vent to the atmosphere, very possibly causing severe burns as the steam and boiling coolant spray you. Never remove a radiator cap until the engine has cooled down. Which of these statements about overhead clearance is true? You should assume posted clearance signs correct. The weight of a vehicle changes height. If the road surface causes your vehicle to tilt towards objects at the edge of the road, you should drive close the shoulder. The correct answer is B. The weight of a vehicle changes height. The suspension system of a vehicle relies on springs. When fully loaded, the springs will compress, lowering the height of the vehicle. When the vehicle is empty, the springs will be uncompressed, resulting in less overhead clearance as the trailer will be at maximum height. Which of these statements about vehicle fire is true? If cargo in a van or box trailer catches on fire, you should open the cargo door as soon as possible. A burning tire should be cooled with water. If your engine is on fire, you should open the hood as soon as you can. The correct answer is B. A burning tire should be cooled with water. A tire fire should be extinguished with water. Since a tire will need to get very hot before it starts to burn, it may take a significant amount of water to put the fire out and keep it out. You must drive on a slippery road. Which of these is a good thing to do in such a situation? Use a smaller following distance. Slow down gradually. Apply the brakes while on curves. The correct answer is B. Slow down gradually. Vehicle skids occur when one or more wheels are turning at a different speed than the others. Since slippery surfaces are most likely to cause this to occur, it is best to slow down gradually until you reach a speed suitable for the conditions. Which of these statements about acceleration is true? Rough acceleration can cause mechanical damage. You should feel a jerking motion if you accelerate your vehicle properly. When traction is poor, more power should be applied to the accelerator. The correct answer is A. Rough acceleration can cause mechanical damage. Rapid acceleration or braking puts undue stress on mechanical components, causing the weakest portion to eventually fail. Which of these statements about brakes is true? Brakes have more stopping power, then they get very hot. Brake drums cool very quickly when the vehicle is moving very fast. The heavier a vehicle or the faster it is moving, the more heat the brakes must absorb to stop it. The correct answer is C. The heavier a vehicle or the faster it is moving, the more heat the brakes must absorb to stop it. Increased weight and/or speed results in more mass. The more mass a vehicle has, the more heat will be created when braking. When the roads are slippery, you should decrease the distance that you look ahead of your vehicle. Make turns as gently as possible. Stop and test the traction while going uphill. The correct answer is B. Make turns as gently as possible. Rollover prevention is primarily the result of going slow through turns, slowing momentum, and keeping the cargo as low to the ground as possible, lowering the center of gravity. Slippery conditions require that you travel slower than normal to reduce momentum. You are checking your brakes and suspension system for a pre-trip inspection. Which of these statements is not true? Cracked drum should be replaced. Brake shoes should have brake fluid on them. One missing leaf in a leaf spring can be dangerous. The correct answer is B. Brake shoes should have brake fluid on them. Brake shoes should be clean and free of debris. Any oil, brake fluid, or other contamination can negatively affect brake performance. The driver's manual suggests several things to do when you pass a vehicle. Which of these is not one of them? At night, turn on your high beams before you start to pass and leave them on until you have completely passed the vehicle. Assume that another driver does not see you. Lightly tap your horn. The correct answer is A. At night, turn on your high beams before you start to pass and leave them on until you have completely passed the vehicle. The safest method to pass a vehicle, cyclist, or pedestrian is to assume they do not see you. Be aware of sudden movements as you approach them. Flash your headlights at night or lightly sound the horn. Make sure that your headlights are dimmed and carefully guide your vehicle past them while monitoring their position. The distance that you should look ahead of your vehicle while driving amounts to about miles at normal highway speed. 1/4. 1/8. A half. The correct answer is A. 1/4. It is recommended that a driver visually scan and monitor the area approximately 12 to 15 seconds ahead. At highway speeds, this will be about a quarter mile 1,320 ft ahead, and at slow speeds around a block 315 ft. You are starting your vehicle in motion from a stop. As you apply power to the drive wheels, they start to spin. You should try a lower gear. Take your foot off the accelerator and apply the brakes. Take your foot off the accelerator. The correct answer is C. Take your foot off the accelerator. It is possible to lose traction by accelerating too quickly. Let off the accelerator until the slipping stops. Then, apply just enough power to maintain traction, and more power can be added as you gain momentum. The most important thing to remember emergency braking is, if the wheels are skidding, you cannot control your vehicle. Disconnecting the steering axle brakes will keep your vehicle in a straight line during emergency braking. Never do it without downshifting first. The correct answer is A. If the wheels are skidding, you cannot control your vehicle. If the tires are skidding, the driver has no control and cannot steer. Both controlled braking and stab braking are techniques to ensure that the tires have traction with the road so the driver can control the vehicle. Which of these statements about tires and hot weather driving is true? You should inspect your tires every 2 hours or every 100 miles when driving in very hot weather. If tires were too hot to touch, letting 5 or 10 pounds of pressure out would cool them down. The air pressure of a tire decreases as the temperature of the tire increases. The correct answer is A. You should inspect your tires every 2 hours or every 100 miles when driving in very hot weather. Hot weather conditions cause the air pressure within a tire to increase. This can increase tire wear or lead to failure. Some modern tire pressure monitoring systems can change the tire pressure actively to relieve this. It is recommended that a driver stop and inspect the tires every 2 hours or 100 miles. Your vehicle is in a traffic emergency and may collide with another vehicle if you do not take action. Which of these is a good rule to remember at such a time? Leaving the road is always riskier than hitting another vehicle. You can almost always turn to miss an obstacle more quickly than you can stop. Stopping is the safest action in a traffic emergency. The correct answer is B. You can almost always turn to miss an obstacle more quickly than you can stop. In an emergency situation, it is often more expedient to turn to avoid an accident than to attempt to stop in time. Often it is not feasible to stop in the amount of time or within the distance given, and if a safe path can be identified, veering to one side to avoid the collision may be the best action to take. Controlled braking can be used when you are turning sharply. Involves locking the wheels for a short period of time. Is used to keep a vehicle in a straight line when braking. The correct answer is C. Is used to keep a vehicle in a straight line when braking. In controlled braking, the brakes are applied just hard enough that they do not lock up and steering is kept to a minimum. This allows the driver to maintain the maximum amount of control. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more CDL test prep content.